16, he brought it on, and he was like, oh, so you want this? And I was like, for the episode or for good? And he was like, oh, no, for good. Like, you get this forever. And I was like,
it's like,
wow. It was my first gift. He gave me this and, like, a bunch of other things, too. I don't know why. He's just such a good guy. I have so many good people on here, dude.
Yeah, honestly.
I can't even, like, describe it. Like, everyone on here has, like, their own... Everyone says, like, the same few things to me. Like, what am I going to talk about when I get on here? I'm certain you've probably thought about that.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
What, like, it goes for a while. So, like, how long... How much do I really got in my head? You got a lot. Everybody has so much.
Well, that's what I like about podcasts. You know, recently I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan's awesome.
Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. And they'll start in one topic and they'll end completely on something different. Yeah, but that's the nice thing about conversations. You can start somewhere and end up somewhere completely different.
Yeah, it's unlike anything else really, like, in the world. Because if you think about, like, pretty much everything you do, you're like, all right, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to 7-Eleven.
Yep.
I'm going to get milk and eggs. Yeah. So then you get in the car and then you go to 7-Eleven and then you get milk and eggs and then you're home.
Right.
There is no other way that could go. If I say I want to talk to Andrew about football right now and we talked about football for 5 minutes, then all of a sudden, like, unplanned things start to happen.
Exactly.
Like, you just start talking about school. You talk about what makes you busy, what makes you happy, sad, all these things that just, like, you get to know somebody. Getting to know somebody is like a journey with no end. It's beautiful.
That's very true.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it never stops because people are always changing.
Right.
You know? Not in, like, major ways. I feel like a lot of times people, like, you are, like, a preset type of feel. And then some things can, like, sway you to be one way or another. But mostly you're the same depending on where you're at. But, yeah, people are still changing every day. You learn something new every day.
That's really interesting that you say that because, you know, something that I realized on one of your podcasts is you mentioned COVID. And, like, how could you not? A lot of people. People have been talking about that, you know, ever since it came up 2 years ago. It's been a topic of conversation for a while now. And I feel like with COVID, we've lost that sense of connectedness, that sense of communication.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
You know, when it was like a year and a half isolated inside, like especially with Zoom University being online and everything like that, like we could just sit there and not do anything, not communicate with anybody for the longest time. And if you had no social interaction really outside of, you know, online school, I mean, you were really screwed. I was fortunate enough to work or go to the gym outside of that, so I still had some social interaction.
Yeah,
but
even just walking by somebody.
Exactly.
Like, I missed it, you know?
Right,
or, like,
right.
I noticed, like, you ever walk by... I noticed this in high school. I never learned it as, like, an actual psychological thing. But I noticed if I walk by someone that, like, I'm not, like, particularly trying to talk to, not that I don't like them or anything, it's just I don't feel like talking at the moment, I just put my head down.
Yeah.
And people will do the same thing. Like, you'll see someone from really far away. They'll see you, maybe not at the same time. Won't make eye contact because then it's over.
Yep.
But if you see each other... Heads go down. You get by. As soon as you get by them, heads go up.
It's uncomfortable, man.
It's a little uncomfortable. You should be like, if I just break the eye contact, I don't gotta say anything. Like, not that you don't like them, whatever. You just don't. Not in the mood. On the mood.
Sure.
And that makes sense, you know. And I feel like even the little things like that, the little like annoying things, like I miss it. You know, I miss seeing someone being like, all right, here we go. Like, let's do the dance. You know, maybe I'll see him, make eye contact, boom. You know, but otherwise, it's just funny. You're right. We missed out on a lot within the past year, and it's good to get back to it.
It is nice.
Get to meet people again, really, and get to like make more friends. Because Zoom's tough. I had a kid. I have a kid in my class this year, and he was in my class last semester over Zoom. We were in a project group, the entire semester together. We had Snapchat group chats. We did Zoom meetings. We were in class together in breakout rooms, pretty much every single class. He straight up didn't know who I was. Like, when I was in class. He straight up just didn't know.
Just didn't recognize you?
Nope. Not even a little bit. Like, he was like, you kind of familiar. Like, that's... He's obviously a special case. He must be really not paying attention to anything. But still, like, it just goes to show, like, all it takes is having your camera off, and then you just never know.
That's just so a little bit scary, a little bit sad to me. A little bit scary, a little sad.
I agree.
Like, I don't know. I didn't really realize how much of a social being I was until COVID really hit.
Did you find yourself missing it a lot?
I found that, how do I say this? I guess I just missed it.
Yeah.
Like, I took it for granted beforehand, like before, like even COVID was a thing, just interacting with people is just something that happened on an everyday thing. You just don't think about it.
Almost got sick of it sometimes.
Exactly. Sometimes I'm just like, I just want to be in my own little bubble, curl up in a ball downstairs, watch some YouTube for 4 hours, and that's my day.
Yeah, but now someone says that, I'm like, I kind of want to get out there.
Well, now, honestly, I think what COVID did was really enhance my perception of time. And when I go and do something, I'm like, is this worth my time?
Wow.
Thinking about it on like I know that's kind of deep.
Dude,
and
just keep going. Keep getting deeper. I love it.
So I like thinking about certain things like this. Like there's some certain statistic fact, whatever, that like you have, I don't remember it exactly, but let's say it's like 80,000 hours in your life. Mm-hmm. And at first you're like, whoa, that's a lot of fucking time.
A lot of hours.
That's a lot of time, dude. Yeah. I got a lot of time to do a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then you start thinking about it, and you're like, okay, well, every day is 24 hours. I sleep for about, normal person, 7 to 9 of those hours. Okay, so I'm awake for about
2/3 of the day.
Exactly. Now what am I going to do? Okay, I'm in school for another third of the day, depending on the day.
School, homework, stuff like that, all combined.
Exactly. So another
6 to 8
third of the
hours.
day.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, wow, so what do I do with this last little chunk of my day? And, obviously for many people it's very different. We all have our different priorities, different things we like to do. But next thing you know, a couple days go by, a week goes by, and you're like, holy shit, time is flying by. Like, think about it. It is October, what is it, 19th? The 20th?
20th today.
It's October 20th.
It's fucking 20th today.
And I was talking in my lab class yesterday, actually, and somebody brought up the fact that it's like, oh, we're like halfway through the semester. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, we're flying.
We're flying by, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the weird thing. I also feel like time's going by slow. Like, on the grand scheme of things, I look and I'm like, oh, it's only October 20th. But it's already October 20th.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like a weird thing to think about?
I say it like, I kind of go level by level by level. Okay. So the days go slow.
Yep.
When you're in the day, you're like, sometimes you're like, this day will never end. This is a long day. The weeks go fast.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's the next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. The months go a little slow. You're like, bro, it's been October for a grip. Like, it's been September for a grip. The years, because you're not thinking in years.
Right.
You're not thinking, you barely even think in months. Like, honestly, that goes by pretty quick, too. The weeks, it's the days that go pretty slow because we're thinking in days. But when you're not thinking about it, they always say time flies when you're having fun because you're not thinking about time. Exactly. You're not thinking about the day. Right. That's when the day goes by the fastest, when you're not thinking about it. Just like how throughout all the time, I'm never thinking, rarely. Sometimes I'm like, I want this week to end, maybe. Mm-hmm. But usually, month, year, I never think about the month and the year.
Isn't time perception really fascinating? Like, you think about it, and I'm going to relate back to COVID now. We've been in this COVID situation for, let's say, 2 years now. Mm-hmm. It feels like we've been in COVID forever. Like, it feels like COVID's just been a thing forever. But then you take a step back. You look at the grand scheme of things, it's been 2 years. Like, on a grand scheme, that's not a lot of time at all.
Not at all, no. And I've had majority of my memories before. Majority of my life's been before it, It's not like I have just been absorbed in COVID my entire life and I don't know nothing else. It's not like I'm like with the internet. My parents, they didn't have internet. They didn't have phones, So me, I am different than them because I had that the whole time.
Right.
COVID's not like that, probably another, in this is, in this, if we're saying 2 years is short and in this, way we're thinking of it right now, 2 years is short. If we think of it like that, give it another 3 years, it might not even be in the news.
It's very true. Turns out to be another thing, like the flu, where it's about it, but it's not.
Yeah, it exists more than you are worried about it every day. Right. Some people worry about it every day. We wear masks in class every day, and there's all this stuff whether you like it or not, it's everywhere. Maybe that's the news. Maybe it's valid. Maybe it isn't valid. Who's to say? But it's just it's everywhere. And, but 5 years later, it could be gone entirely.
That's very true.
And just it could just be a blip in our lives. This year and a half, 2 years we were stuck in. Mm-hmm. That's weird. Like, that's weird.
That is very true.
Again, it's like not that much time at all. Time perception is everything. Really.
Absolutely. Really.
And not just time.
No, definitely not.
Like, if you're, like, the way you perceive, like, people, like you see, I'm usually in a pretty good mood. But let's just say, like, Mike Palmer, for example. Mike Palmer down the street. Mm-hmm. Shout out Mike Palmer.
Shout out Mike Palmer.
We love Mike Palmer.
Absolutely.
Great guy.
100%.
He gets a little stressed out. You know, he grinds his work out for sure.
Those nursing majors, insane.
Too much work.
Can't imagine.
So imagine you catch him at the library, and you never met this kid before. He's studying his ass off. He's trying to get through the week so he can watch the Pats on Sunday with no stress. And you walk by him with a water. Someone bumps into you. You bump into him. Spill your water on his back. He's already stressed. And he gets up and he's like, dude, what the fuck? Like, instantly, you have a bad relationship with Michael Palmer, and you might miss out on one of the greatest humans I've ever met in my life. And then you talk to me, and you're like, oh, Mike Palmer's your friend? Like, that's the kid I bumped into the library. He's kind of a dick. And I'm like, no.
You don't know this guy at all.
You don't understand. This is like, I willingly will say, is my best friend throughout my life. Yeah. He's been, since like 6th grade, he's been like my fucking boy.
Seriously.
You don't understand. But then again, is it me or is it them that I don't understand? Yeah. They've only had the one experience. Of course they're going to think that he's a dick. So it's just perception's everything, dude. It's everything.
Relating to perception, you know what, sometimes, like, I'll be right off the bat, like, I enjoy to think deeply.
Of course.
And something that I always like to think about, as strange as it is so we as individuals, we all have our own experiences, our own thoughts, our own, you know, ways we've grown up, things we do every day, all this different kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just really interesting to sit back. And for example, like if I'm at dining hall, there's a lot of people around.
So many.
Look at them all and go, man, everybody else has their own experiences.
Oh my God, Andrew.
Their own, like, thoughts, perceptions, like visualizations, like characteristics, you want to say, like all these different things. Mm-hmm. And it's so individualized that it's like, it's just, it's mind-boggling to think about it because you can't think about it all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those very strange things.
Yeah, I do the same thing in traffic.
Oh, okay.
Or like if I'm driving in like a neighborhood with like a lot of houses.
Yeah.
I'm like, start with the traffic. Like, I'm in traffic, and I see basically what feels like an endless river of cars just flowing down 93.
Certainly. And
then I look to the other side, endless river of cars flowing back 93. Right. And I'm like, it's just jammed up in this bitch. I can't move. It's bumper to bumper. All I see is red lights. And then I think about it from a different perspective. I'm not trying to be upset. I'm sitting there like, these are all people. The odds, and then I think of it like the odds of me knowing someone in this traffic is slim, low key. It's slim that I even know somebody. Definitely not related probably to anybody that I can see right now. So that means that I have my own family, my own life, my own friends that are probably have nothing to do with this traffic right now. And every other person in this traffic has that same exact family, friends, nothing, completely separate from this traffic right now. They might be using a rental car. There might be someone in the other lane trying to get to the hospital while their wife is delivering their child, coming straight out of work because he works like 2 9-to-5s like at the same time. And then there's me trying to get to school, going to college at UMass Lowell. Just completely different.
It's insane to think about. It really is.
There's too many people, Andrew. There's too many people.
So what do we do about that?
You gotta murder half. Yeah, I'd say let's just take out half. Let's just take out half.
So like Thanos.
Thanos. Was Thanos wrong? Okay.
I knew you were going to ask me this as soon as I mentioned Thanos. Now let's think about it. Ethically, yes.
Yeah.
Logically, no.
Logically, no.
Logically, I may get some flack for this. He kind of had it right.
Could you ever say, here's the biggest plot hole in all of movie history, maybe. Yeah. So his glove is basically it bends the rules of matter.
Oh, certainly.
Energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
Right.
That's cap with this thing. Yeah. This thing can create destroy.
Fuck that.
So just like it could have taken out half of the life in the universe, couldn't he have just doubled the resources?
You see, I think Marvel was like, let's think about this. They could do that.
Could.
But what creates much more controversy, much more drama? And they're like killing half the people in the entire fucking world.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It must be the reason why. They were just like, listen, we're just going to say this is the one he chose. Because theoretically, logically, it's right to double it. Or it's right to give us more resources per person. That's kind of like the whole purpose of is killing half the universe. It's like we don't have enough. So we need to kill half to make sure we have enough.
Right. Well, that's the thing is that both decisions lead to the same outcome. I mean, eventually people repopulate. And eventually resources diminish. So you eventually end up in the same spot. Whether which one comes first, I don't know.
So let's just say you had the glove.
Okay.
It only worked on Earth. It's an Earth glove. You know, it's like all the stones of Earth.
Okay.
And you could just snap infinite resources. We just have whatever we wanted. We could literally just not print money because that's not even, you wouldn't even need money anymore. Yeah. Everybody would just have whatever they want.
Right.
You know, we could just really section off the world into like, you know, everyone gets a certain amount of acres and we just live dummy lavish, you know, everybody. Would that even be what you do? Is that worth it? You know, like, because then if remember that whole thing with, what's it called? You watched The Incredibles, the first Incredibles movie?
I did, yeah. I am familiar.
You remember Sinestro? What was the guy's name? The villain?
Oh my god.
Something Stro, maybe. Fuck. Can't think of his name, which is a shame because it's a perfect analogy. Yeah. Too. He said, if everyone's super, then no one is. Because it's like you're no longer super anymore.
Exactly.
Everyone has your power. Super? Same thing with, you know, having money or power. If everyone has that money and power, it's pointless.
That's very true. That is no longer power.
So what would you do if you had that? Like what, you know, you can save everybody. But then why are we here?
Well, then I want to answer your question, but then you even start to get into things like certain questions as to, you know, what defines a person as like being saved? Like, who do you save if that's the case? Like, if you can save everybody, like, what are there certain things that make people higher priority? Like, if everybody gets everything, like you said, like, what is the significance of the resources that people have?
I don't know. At some point, like, can you just... Because there's happier people with less. You know?
Yeah, I don't think extrinsic wealth, things like cars, money, big homes, I don't think that's the key to happiness. And I think that's becoming more and more prevalent. And I hope people are really starting to understand that. It all comes from inside. And that's what makes it so difficult.
Yeah, it is. Because it's hard to accept that. You know, it's hard to accept that. You know, your eyes only see outward. You know, you can only see what other people got. Really, you kind of forget what you have.
Yeah.
And so what brings you your happiness, Andrew?
That's a great question.
Do you even know? It's not valid to not know. Most people, I feel like, don't.
Yeah, and that's actually very unfortunate that we don't have like a direct beeline to happiness or exact fulfillment. But I also think that that's part of the journey and what makes it so worth it. So, you know, that's why we strive for it. What brings me my happiness? I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think having faith, definitely. And I don't mean to like get all religious on people, but having faith in something, right? You gotta have something that keeps you going. I think being surrounded by loved ones, absolutely. Like, there's nothing better than coming home to a family that loves you, a girlfriend, you know, possibly parents, siblings, friends, all that stuff. Somebody to just come to. I think having hobbies, definitely. things that you can always fall back on, things that you can always go to that will be like, okay, this brings me fulfillment. And at least that's what it is for me. I think it's so individualized because although that may be for me, you may be completely different. The person down the street may have completely different morals, completely different values that bring them fulfillment and bring them happiness. So I think that's what can also make it difficult, because everybody is out there looking for, the happiness, dare I say, like, pill that, like, the one thing that brings euphoria to everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't think it exists.
Yeah, I don't think it exists either.
Because, like,
it is very personalized.
Exactly. And I think we have to find that for ourselves. But I don't know if we'll ever find it, like permanent happiness.
Yeah, it's hard. Now, I mean, it is really hard.
You're a very happy guy.
Extremely.
Let me ask you the same question. What brings you your happiness, your fulfillment?
I feel like I got a little lucky, because there was a long time. Not that I was never depressed. I've never been depressed. Never had any mental illnesses. Never really was sad. I've never been a sad guy. So like I was always like baseline moderate, But I found myself moderate, and I'm like, like it's kind of boring if you're just not happy. I just want to be happy, and I feel like that was very important. Like me realizing that, like, wanting to be, you like have to work hard to be happy. It's not as easy. Like you can easily submit and look at the bad things and always look at the negative and be negative all the time. And sometimes, I'm not like, oh, but yeah, you'll be all right. Like I'm not that guy either, because I think it's, I think it's funny personally to like make fun of not a misfortunate situation, but like something like stupid, like someone stubs their toe. I'm like, ha, like, haha,
helps lighten
that's
the
funny.
Mood. Absolutely.
Lightens the mood for me, like when stuff like that happens. I'm not like everything's good all the time, but for me, it's just realizing through, like, I guess I wasn't personally like in like sadness or anything, but I've seen sadness. Like I've talked about many times. Like my uncle passed away like senior year. And you either have to deal with it yourself. First of all, you have to realize like, I lost my uncle. But it's hard because I couldn't deal with that at the time, because my cousins, my uncle had kids. My cousins, they had to live with us during that time, and I'm like seeing them struggle, and I'm trying to figure out if I should be or not, because I need to be there. And it just kind of like all clicked together at the same time. It doesn't get as bad as that. That's bad. Maybe a parent losing a child. Never seen that. That might, but I think I got it, I get it now. Fully understand. It could be worse. And now I just go through life realizing that everything is so good where I am. Like, I'm in a house with my friends. I'm at school. I grew up. No, like, discrimination. No nothing. I had a house. I have family that loves me and that I love. They're so nice to me. Not everyone's blessed like I am, and I recognize that. And right when I recognized that, it clicked. And Kate asked me a couple weeks ago, how you doing, Dan? And I was like, good, I'm happy. She was like, oh, really? I feel like you're always happy. I'm like, yeah, I've been happy for I've been running on this happy ride for 3 years now. And she's like, 3 years? She's like, what do you mean you've been happy for 3 years? Sometimes I'm happy for a day, and I'm pumped. I'm like, yeah, not me. 3 years. I've been really, really, really happy. Wow. And it's like I just smile. I just smile through it all.
You do smile a lot.
I remember I smiled after we lost a game my senior year, right? It was after all that. I lost a game, and I remember going to the locker room, and I was still smiling, and my teammate kind of started, not chewing me out, but was like, dude, don't smile, after we lose. Don't, come on, be, upset that we lost. I'm like, I'm not happy we lost, but it's better to lose and smile than lose and frown. And he was like,
wow.
I guess so, to each their own, though, I guess. But yeah, happiness is something we can all achieve. It's very possible. It's not easy, but you can achieve it. Just go for it. Whatever makes you happy, go and do it. This makes me very happy. I love doing this.
Brother, you know what I really just noticed about you?
What?
Gratitude. You are probably the most grateful man I've ever met.
I can't even describe it, dude.
Gratitude, dude. And I'm telling you, if you are grateful for the little things in life, you will be happy.
Yeah, and I think I am. And I wish I could. I don't want people to be like me. I wish people were happy like me. I want everyone to be completely different. I like when people are weird. I like when people are different. I don't like meeting someone. I like everything, really. I love everybody. But, like, I don't like meeting somebody and having that little conversation of, like, what's your major? Yeah. No, cool. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do it, I guess, to meet someone. You can't just hop right in. But I want someone to just hit me with something, you know? Pull up wearing your merch. Like, I'm going to have hats soon.
Can't wait for that.
I'll have hats. And I'm going to pull up wearing my hat and have someone say, what is that? Instantly, I'm completely different than everybody else that person's met today.
Yeah.
I want more people to hit me with that. I want to pull up and say, hey, nice shirt. Because I like, people wear cool things. It does kind of symbolize who you are, what you're wearing. I'm not like a big fashion guy. But,
What are you talking about?
Half full.
Symbolizes
what I am, This is a golf hat. I like to golf. Whether you realize it or not, it's who you are. Nike and Under Armour, those are some basketball brands, you could say. You got some, like, nice shoes on, They're just, like, good for multi-purpose. I assume you can assume a lot of things from someone's outfit. Yeah. So I feel like I just want to meet somebody I want to meet different people. I love different people. I love different. Wow. Different's fun for me.
I love that, honestly. And I'm right there with you with the whole small talk conversation. And that's something that I've been experiencing a lot so far being back at school is, over COVID, I did a lot of mental digging, a lot of deep diving into my mind, into my faith, all that stuff. And I really started to enjoy having those deep, like almost heart-to-heart conversations with people. And it's so rare to find that nowadays, and it's unfortunate. It's a lot of like that small talk, what's your major, where are you from, yada yada yada. I'll forget you in the morning, when you see the people at parties. And
for real, yep. Mm-hmm.
Being able to have a conversation with somebody who appreciates that just as much as I do, that's really awesome. And that may just be one of the main reasons, like, why I feel like, although we haven't known each other for that long, like, we just get it.
Yeah, I know.
We just relate on that level, and we just get it.
I gotta show my dad that part that you just said, that you get it. We say that all the time. Yeah. We'll run into someone that's just being ignorant out in public, like just willingly just being ignorant. These people just don't get it. Yeah. Just don't ruin people's day, even in little ways. Like, why would you? You got to be selfless when it comes to, like, the way you carry yourself sometimes. Like, we're happy. Me, you, like, my dad, he's a very happy guy. He's found fulfillment, I feel like. Sometimes he gets a little, upset, like we all do. But he's definitely found, like, fulfillment in having kids. Kids was the thing for him. He got lucky that, like, it's something that happens to a lot of people. It just so happened to change his life, having kids did.
Incredible.
So but we say it all the time. Like, this guy just doesn't get it. You're supposed to be making people's days better,
right?
All the time,
right?
And it is hard, and sometimes you don't feel like it. Sometimes you don't want to go. Like, I've picked up friends at like 4 a.m. I've done what I need to do. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Don't have to love it, but I promise you'll feel great.
Yeah.
I gotta show my dad that you said that. He's gonna follow.
That's awesome.
He's gonna love you, bro. He's gonna love this conversation entirely.
Shout out, Mr. O'Donovan.
Yeah.
Hope to meet you one day.
Oh,
that's awesome.
You'll meet him one day for sure. So you say you've kind of like more like your like faith, like you've been kind of falling into a little bit.
Sure.
So what I know for so many people it means so many different things. Like, because it could mean a legit religion. It could just be what you feel like, and that basically is your religion. People have been ragging on religion recently. Yeah. Because science, like, really,
so.
Like, excelling at a rate that I feel like people that try to explain it too much, like, literally, like, they kind of, like, fall behind. You got to just say the Bible is a metaphor, and because it is. Everything's metaphorical,
right.
But what do you mean by your, like, faith? Explain that.
I just want to make it clear that, right, by faith, I don't exactly mean religion. I'm not exactly a religious person. I don't identify under any religion.
Mm-hmm.
I do have faith that there is a God, I do have somebody that I look towards, but I wouldn't say, oh, I'm Christian or I'm Buddhist or
Yeah.
But I think faith applies to everything, and I think the most important thing to have faith in is yourself, because if you don't have faith in yourself, well, it's not like anybody else has faith in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you can't establish that faith in yourself, then how can you establish other things like confidence and security within yourself? How are you comfortable with, maybe the way you look, the way you talk, the way you feel, all this different stuff? And I think, outside of that as well, having faith in other people.
It's my biggest thing for sure.
Yeah, definitely very tough. Faith in, for example, going to school and the stuff you're learning, that this is going to apply to your future. That's something else that sometimes it can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
But being faithful in all these different other aspects doesn't just have to be religion and all that stuff. I think it's definitely very important. And I, kind of, in a sense, relating it to gratitude, I think those are two very important things that are very overlooked.
Oh my God, yeah.
Things that people don't really think about.
You're too distracted. Everyone's too distracted.
Yeah.
I've been saying this. I've been on this kick recently. I get on different kicks. I'll find a word or something like gratitude. Or that's a good thing to even talk about. Like gratitude. For me, the thing recently has been distractions. I realized it's kind of happiness too. I realized I'm happiest when I'm recording my podcast. This is the happiest I am. And that includes when I used to play basketball. This is as happy as I've ever been. Was when I'm sitting down right here recording. I love it. I love every second of it. The other parts, editing, a little tough, but whatever. So it's just but I do love recording these. And I realized this is what I love. I love basketball. I am happy doing these things. And they're not easy.
Definitely not.
This isn't easy for everybody. Some people are naturally, born talkers. Some people are a little more introverted. And the person next to me, it's the same thing. Some people are a little more introverted, some people aren't. I've never had any even stoppages in a conversation. They all just roll. So I feel like I'm doing a good job and I'm working hard to be better at it. I would say so. And I was thinking this is fun. This is great. I love this. Then I get to class and, some are better than others and it's okay. And then I'm doing my homework and it's taking up a lot of my time and I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to get something simple, and I'm always looking. I realized my filters were trying to make it as easy as possible for myself, and there's less time consuming. Good pay, the most pay I can get for the least amount of work is basically what I'm looking for in a job. And I realized is some people would consider this video games, basketball, friends, the distraction from your work life, your career, all that. I'm really wondering if that is the distraction or if it's the other way around. Is school, work, all the stuff that basically, even social media, you could say society in general, the way that it's structured, I feel like that's all distracting me from the things that make me happiest. They never correlate. So I feel like that's the big thing with people say, make your job the thing that you love, And it'd be awesome if this works out. I'm going to put the full court press on this very soon. Try to get this thing doing a good job because I realize I want this to be the job. Yeah. I don't want to be distracted from the things that people can formally think matter more, like your classes and all that. I'm still going to go. I want a degree, something to fall back. That's the new fallback plan. This, some people have fallback plans that are their family work, or they're I'm gonna try to I'll try music if this doesn't work out. No. This is the plan. Yeah. That's the fallback now.
I gotta start by saying, honestly, I'm really happy for you that you have found something you are so passionate about, something that brings you so much happiness and something that really just wakes you up in the morning. You're like, I fucking love this.
Dude, I love it, dude.
That is awesome. And to relate to your distractions, I think that whatever, maybe not necessarily takes away, but holds you back, I suppose, from your happiness, I'd have to say that I think that would be defined as a distraction. If video games and making podcasts is what brings you happiness, then why wouldn't you pursue that? I mean, think about it. Think about it at the most simplistic level. We as humans are here infamously said by Drake, "We are here for a good time, not a long time."
You know, I.
But he hit the hammer. He hit the nail on the head with that saying because he's so true. We're only here for a certain amount of time. Why wouldn't we want to enjoy every last second of that? And if working and going to school is the normal, then I feel like we just have a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's got to be good all, you got to do your work. You got to put in hard work. Let's just make sure it's geared right. Like I don't want to just be working hard on something that I have no passion for. Like one of my classes is immigration history.
Ooh.
There are millions of people that have so much passion for immigration and like everyone's stories. My history teacher, he wrote books. He's like the expert in Lowell. If you wanted to know anything about Lowell immigrant history, he is the guy, like for sure. Not even just Lowell, probably like a lot of like northern Massachusetts. He knows pretty much everything. And so for him, great. I love that. I'd love to talk to that guy for a couple hours.
Sure.
Learn. I like to learn little things. I like to learn a little base on everything. I'd like to know some stuff. But when you're putting me in that classroom, you're telling me all this stuff, and you're telling me like specific like dates and all these things, like it just gets hard for me to realize like, do I need this?
Right.
Is this worth my time?
Right.
And again, I'm not the type to drop my class. I'm not the type to drop out. I'm the type to just work through that, and then it almost makes this more enjoyable because it's like an escape.
Well, that's the thing. I think that what makes life so great is that it can sometimes suck so much, and I think that's what really makes us appreciate these moments where we are truly happiness, and that's what really uplifts them. Because if you were happy all the time, relating back to what we were saying earlier, what defines your happiness? Like if you are constantly at this high level,
like are you even like it's kind of like a swing. You can only swing forward as far as you swing back.
Very true.
I just thought of that off the top of my head.
That's a great metaphor.
Felt good.
It sounded better. That was really good.
As good as it felt.
It sounded better.
I've been thinking that that's true with a lot of things. Like I'm big in the stock market too. That's true in stocks.
Wait, are you really?
I'm big in the stock market.
I did not know that.
I know you like your stocks too, right? I think Alexis told me that before.
I do like my stocks.
Yeah, and it's the same almost. It can only go as low as it goes high.
Oh man, sometimes that's tough. I'm not gonna lie, Bitcoin and Ethereum doing me well right now, but like
good.
A month ago, oh dude, I was down a little bit, but now I'm up.
I got I'm not I wouldn't consider myself a lucky person. I looked at it. I did a little bit of my own research, and I saw like Bitcoin. I got it at a long time ago, around like in the 40 before it dropped back to 30.
Yeah.
So I got it at 40. It went up to like 60, and then it started dropping quick. I got out at like 45, made a little bit of money. Bye-bye. Yeah. And then when it got hit 30 again, I bought it again.
Smart man.
And now it's just at like 66. Time this uploads, could be 70, could be 30. Like
I don't know. Let's hope for 70.
It's all over the place.
Seriously.
Yeah. And that's kind of like, that's another thing though, It's like you gotta just take your lumps sometimes. I have some stocks that I've been down for like 3 months, and I've learned to just it's all right. What do I think? Right. What do I value this at?
Exactly.
What does this mean to me? What do I think that this what does this hold? This is not worth $14, even though it's been going from 20 to 18 to 13, back to 14, back to 30. I think it's $30.
Yeah.
I would buy this for $30.
Right.
So I'm gonna wait until I think it will get there.
Yeah.
And that can be so hard when it comes to your money. I barely have any savings, if any at all. I think I have like $300 in my savings.
Wow.
Which to some people is like, dude, that's a decent amount. Some people, because some people go like paycheck to paycheck, and I understand that. But for me, like lucky, I'm again super fortunate in my life.
Absolutely.
We got to live at home during COVID. Had no expenses.
Yeah.
Still was getting some form of income. Shout out government.
Yeah.
And and I got my money, and it's just all going straight into the stocks. People will call me crazy sometimes. I'm like, why? Why is that crazy? What's wrong with it?
Man, this is so funny that you're telling me this because I experienced the same exact thing. I won't mention from who. You know who you are if you ever watch this. I got a lot of flack for putting a lot of my money into stocks. And now, so I specifically invest long term.
Mm-hmm.
I did the whole thing like Robin Hood, invest in Tesla, Moderna, Pfizer, all this stuff.
We all went through it.
Right, short amount of time. Then I was like, you know what? Let's start planning long term. Consistently been buying some ETFs, so
see what these dividends are about.
Exactly. We're starting to build. And I got a lot of flack for doing that because, over COVID and over summer, I worked a lot. So I was able to put a lot of money towards these stocks. I'm really just preparing for my future, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fortunate to be in the situation that I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to put so much money towards stocks, but I did get a lot of heat for doing so. And that can be difficult because you kind of just got to stay true to who you are and what you believe is right.
Yeah.
And when the people closest to you give you heat for that, you can really start to question a lot of things.
It's true.
I'm only relating this to stocks, but this could be related to much deeper personal issues. But anyways, yeah, it was definitely tough, but
I can imagine, dude.
Yeah.
I think I had the same type of scenarios where I can really agree with you in entirety. Like, I understand.
Crazy.
Like, it can be hard to just have some people tell you, like, everyone's telling you to be careful,
Yeah.
Everyone's telling you. And here's what I realize. People that are telling me things, they don't really understand, Like,
Right.
if they had prior experiences and, if they had prior, like, if they knew, not that they don't know what to talk, I respect everyone's opinions, Like, everyone, you might have never done it before and be dead right, for all we know.
Right.
But if you don't have the experience, like, how can I really, like, fully trust you? I'll always take a word of advice, but it's the same thing that happens with NBA players with their coaches. A lot of times, if like these NBA coaches, they need to have played now. Like, you can't just be a guy that is smart. You need to have played because they need to trust that you have experienced this, and whether the other guy might know or not. If you haven't played the game, it's hard to tell someone that's playing the game what to do.
It's a completely different level of understanding.
It is.
So I got you on that.
Because I know I'm different than I was, and I first put the first dollar in.
Right.
I put like a measly $50 in. I was like, measly, and I was like, all right, let's not lose this. That was the thought. It's like, let's not lose it. That's not. You can't even think that way. You got to think, how can I make more than I would in my savings account, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
And that's not hard.
Yeah.
That's if your only goal is to make it better than your savings, that is almost too easy.
Yeah.
You just put it into like anything that like
ETFs.
Put it into ETFs and index funds, like put into like some S&P stuff, like you put in like power shares, and you'll get like, even if it is just 5%, like a low, and that's lower end, you could find some that have been over the past 5 years been given like 30% a year to you. My savings account was giving me 0.05.
Well, see, this is the thing. It beats just having it sitting in a savings account because due to inflation, that number that you see in your savings account, it's not how much your money is worth.
It's actually shrinking.
Dramatically. By a lot.
So
throw that shit into some ETFs and just let it grow, even if it's not a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Even if you look and you're like, oh, I'm down, however much so, trust me.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Because you have the value, It's not like you bought like a painting and then the painting lost all its value and now you have to sell the painting for nothing. It's like you buy something and could go up, could go down based on people's perceptions of it. And just because it's down for now doesn't mean it won't go back up. You just got to be able to look at the red. Or honestly, you got to be able to put your fucking phone away.
Yeah.
If you can,
don't look at it,
If you can master not looking at it
Yeah.
for like a month at a time, you'll be so much better off. Because sometimes you go in like, the market as a whole will just be bad.
Yep.
and you'll see for like 3, 4 sometimes. I've looked at stretches like on different stocks just to see like when should I be concerned.
Yeah.
Really, probably like unless it's going down for 8, 9 straight months, then you really shouldn't even be worried.
Yeah.
You should only be worried if for like literally 9 months of your time it's been going down.
That's the worst thing you can do is sell when it's going down.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Because it's just not like, it's not that deep, you know? Like, and you want to make money, but it's not like you see the plus $20 and you got to be like, oh, there it goes. Now I'm going to sell it. You can't do that either. Just because you see the green doesn't mean you got to like cash out, you know? Bitcoin's been going crazy recently. I know. I could have easily sold it, and I put a lot. I'll tell you after, but I put a lot. And I could have, like, you know, I put it in at 30. Could have doubled it. At 60, I could have got, like, 1.5 times, which is great returns at, like, 45K. But I was like, no. Let me just leave it.
Because what if it goes and you could quadruple it?
It could quadruple it.
Or it could go down and you could lose half your money.
And you could.
You never know.
And then it could go right back up. And then it could go down. But I like the price I got it at for what I think it is. So until I need the money, I don't see why I'd ever sell it. Or unless I see like a down, I could buy it low again. That's the whole thing. But why would I get rid of this stock?
That's very true. It's almost like your daily heart attack. You look at it and you're like, oh shit. And then some days you look at it and you're like, oh shit. And you're like, fuck.
It depends. It's scary though. I understand someone saying, I don't want to get too involved. But I don't understand someone that says, I don't want to get involved at all.
See, if you got some spare pocket change, it doesn't got to be that much laying around, you know, is it really going to hurt you?
Yeah, like I know a lot of kids, you know, they're not paying for school.
Yep.
They're not paying for their houses, which is, you know, no problem. You know, if your family, if and when I have money and I have kids, my kid's not paying for shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna make their life as easy as possible because that's my responsibility as a parent. I feel like obviously you don't want them to be spoiled.
Sure.
But it's my responsibility as a parent. So, you know, kudos to their parents for paying for their school.
Sure.
But if you have all these, you got to realize, you know, if you have all that paid for and you have all this money on the side, like some of these kids have like $50,000 that they can just that's just kind of sitting. And I'm
sitting doing nothing, losing money actually.
You're losing money.
Inflation.
And it's like you're not taking full advantage. Like we're about to be at the same point. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna catch you at some point in our lives, that shouldn't be. Because I was, you know, not that I started from behind, but like my parents got average amount of money, enough to feed me and house me and love me, and that's all I need. Honestly, I think I'm better off not having to pay for my own school in some ways, because you just learn things that way. But you know, like if I didn't, I'd still like be doing other things otherwise, you know? Absolutely. Like I'd be investing, I'd be trying to make that money, you know?
Money is meant to be spent.
It is.
Well, whatever that may be, it's meant to be spent.
It's not meant to be held, you know?
No.
I think I saw Warren Buffett said something like, if you have a $1 million golden like brick, like it just sits there. You know,
sure. It's
just golden brick. You know, up and down value, sometimes gold, whatever. But if you have let's just say it's $1 million in cash, just sitting there, versus $1 million in a house sitting over there. Yeah. You know, and you can live in that house and you can use it and be making money from it. Exactly. Every dollar you put in is basically like putting it into a bank in a way because you can just sell it.
Right, in a sense.
Assets are just everything, bro.
Assets are absolute everything. There's a famous saying about, you know, when you start investing, it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. That's why it should be, I wish they taught this in school, it should be taught as early as you start working jobs. I think I started working at
I was 16,
something around there, 15, 16. Man, I wish I started investing back then, because there's statistical data on this saying that the amount of money that you make from investing in between the ages of, for example, like 20 and 30 is so much more than people who start like 50 to 60. It's just incredible. It's an unbelievable tool, like you said.
Yeah, like my dad and my mom, they never really had like extra money. They had money to get done what they need to get done. I have
Certainly.
you never know. My house is actually really beautiful for like no reason.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
But like, you know, it's not like they got extra money just lying around. My dad finally is in a spot where he feels like he can invest a little bit. Homie threw like $100 into Bitcoin. He's never been happier. He loves seeing it go up, you know, but he's never been invested. He's just one of those guys, and
sure.
You know, he's finally seeing it go up. He's like, oh, this is like kind of fun. I'm like, oh.
Don't get too hooked.
Don't get too. I said he sends me every day. He sends me a picture. He's like, look at it. I'm like, if you're reacting like this when it goes up, I'm scared to see you. No. So just be ready, and I keep like holding them back. But yeah, like, you know, like if you have, I was thinking actually, for my marketing class, we had to come up with 3 ideas for all 5 of us had to come up with 2 to 3 ideas in my group. And one of my ideas was a finance app that teaches you, like a brokerage app, that teaches you how to like invest in stocks, teaches you what everything means, and as an incentive for you to do it, you get free stock, small but free stock, and for every like 10 like lessons you learn, like you can learn about dividends, you can learn about yields, you can learn about like limits and stop orders and all this stuff, options. And if you learn about it, you get like points, and the points can buy you stock, you know?
That's a very interesting idea.
About to win, dude.
Go check out, because you might be able to get even more ideas from this. Are you familiar with Coinbase?
Yeah, I invest in Coinbase.
Okay. So then, do you know about, I see some YouTube ads whenever I'm trying to watch my YouTube. And they pay you to learn about how to invest.
Yeah. I've seen that. It's like crypto. I
thought it was Coinbase Pro or something like that.
Maybe
I don't know.
Is. I invested in the initial public offering of Coinbase because I heard about it and I was like, that sounds sick.
Yeah, I did the same.
So I instantly got in on that as fast as I possibly could. That was when I was really deep into like everything coming out, and I was like really trying to like get on top of things. A little more laid back now. I'm like, all right, I have the things I'm invested in. If someone tells me about something, I'll look into it, but I'm not going to like, you know, I'm not like this guy, like, I'm not looking at the charts as much as I used to. I used to look at the charts and all that. Yeah. And I was like, all right, let me relax. It's taking up time, and I really don't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let me just let it. And I've honestly done better without that. Like the less I think, the better I do. Like, I guess.
I mean, you could sit down and read charts all day, and you know the stock market is so unpredictable. Nobody can predict the stock market.
I was saying, like, I remember taking econ. I'm taking an investment and portfolio analysis class. It's all right, you know. But it shows you like there's rules to this. Like there's like this and that. And, like you can know how you can't know anything, because if we did, recessions would never happen. Right. You know, a lot of it's just people getting lucky. You know, and a lot of it's just people like being comfortable with, you know, having a little bit and growing a little. And if you're comfortable with that little bit and you have other money on the side, like to sustain you, just let that grow. Like those are really the only people that you can say like they know, because they're just okay with the lesser amount of profit. You know, like they're okay with making like 8%, 10% a year. You know,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. I think you're better off, really, if you can commit yourself to it.
Right.
I think you're better off.
And I think that relates back to when we were talking about happiness not too long ago. You know, if you find your happiness within yourself, you'll realize just how insignificant money can be, because I think money can be a great resource to help provide us with the tools necessary to lead to happiness. However, money itself does not bring happiness. So let's just look at the setup. Look at the setup. Look at this beautiful setup.
Look at this gorgeous setup, by the way. This was gifted. This was a gift from one of my boys. He was on. He gave me that. Awesome. Those lights, the lights that are illuminating our beautiful faces right now, those were, I locked into those, you know. Okay. These were pretty cheap. Like, these arms, like 30 a pop.
Really?
These were like 30 a pop. These mics, I got good mics, quality for cheap. You know, I got the whole thing. This was a gift. Desk was for free because it's our old Pong table. And then laptop, obviously I needed that for school, so I had that before. Phone, had that before. It's my camera. In reality, we're looking at like headphones, $30 a pop. Just got these too. Just got these and these.
Very nice.
So let's just say it's like $300 for the whole thing. That's being like a little overzealous. And I got lucky, obviously, with all the other things. If we add that, it'd be more. If I looked at $300, someone handed me $300 versus all the experiences that $300 has led to, really, over this past like 44
unlimited happiness that has been brought to you.
Oh my God, bro! Like this is like, it's like the whole thing, the whole saying of like, you know, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for life. You know,
great saying.
Like this taught me to fish, and it's just like, but instead of fish, I'm getting nice 40-pound happiness bombs.
Absolutely.
That just like fuel the rest of my day. Like I'm like, when we finish here, I'm gonna take the headset off. I'm gonna go like render the video, just, you know, get it all, like all the difficult long tasks out of the way, just get that all done. Watch some basketball, chillax, you know, just be happy the rest of my day, because I'm like, oh, that was so much fun, you know.
And you can't monetize that.
You can't.
That holds no monetary value.
Mm-hmm. You can't.
And sometimes I feel like people just get that all wrong, because they look at money as the key to happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not.
Not even a little bit.
It's unfortunate.
Because you can find happiness in, like, money. The amount something costs often does not depict how happy you are.
Right.
Like, there's value in everything. Like, even just if you got rid of the mics, you got rid of the podcast, you got rid of the recording, this conversation provides so much happiness. Free 99. This was free 99.
Free 99. Wow.
This is a nice five finger discount. Got this one for free.
That's nice.
I got this whole conversation for free, which is awesome. And you know, like, there's plenty of things like that. Like, we went to Poly D, you know.
Great night. I
had so much fun, and it was like decently cheap, you know. That was pretty cheap.
Yeah, for the experience.
For the experience I had, so cheap. You can go, but then, you know, say you went to the Red Sox yesterday, you spent $200 on a ticket, and they lost. Tough loss too, and you're leaving that like, and you're like, all right, I had fun, but it wasn't like a great night, and that's like 8 times the amount.
Yeah.
So, you know, dollars does not directly mean how happy you're gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
People think that way all the time, though.
Yeah,
even I do. That's definitely the thing I need to work on the most. Realizing that money isn't everything. Because a lot of times, you know, I'm thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool if I had like $1,000 mics and 3 cameras, and I could pay for an editor. And, you know, my friends, they help me out. Dude, you say I'm grateful. No one I'm more grateful for right now than my friends. They've all like said that they're gonna help me out with the podcast. Like,
love it,
bro. I can't pay these kids. They're just doing it because they like me.
Oh, dude, I cannot lie. This is my payment. Like, I was looking forward to this all day.
Like, you know, and that's,
I was so hyped to come on here.
You guys just come on. You guys will you guys entertain it. You know, like anybody. The fact that like I put up a poll, see how many people would buy hats. You know, obviously not everyone will vote. Obviously, I can't get people that don't have Instagram. Not everyone looks at it that day. And, you know, like, still, like, the fact that anybody would buy a hat that has my logo on it is just, like, it blows my mind. Or go watch any bit of a video. I know people that literally have watched every episode. You know how much time that is? That is so much time. That's, like, probably 65 hours.
Wow.
That's too much, almost. I feel like a leech taking their time away.
But to them, it's worth it.
Maybe it is. And that's
like, not gonna lie.
You know, you wouldn't watch it if it wasn't.
Not gonna lie. I was just doing my cardio today, and how I was telling you earlier how I wanted to watch a little bit just to get like a little mental note of what to expect.
What you're getting into.
And I was doing cardio for 20 minutes, and it was your most latest one. I forget who the guest was. Was it Declan? I think so.
Declan's a good guy.
And it was just enjoyable. Next thing I knew, 20 minutes is over. I was like, holy shit.
It does fly.
Wow. It flies. And
I've had people say, why don't you make them shorter? Why don't you? More people would watch if they were 10 minutes. Why don't you make them 30 minutes? More people would watch. And I look at them and I'm just like, you don't get why I'm doing it for as long as I'm doing it then. Obviously, I'm going to very soon. I'm doing this very soon. I'm making segments so it's more accessible. You know, no one wants to watch an hour and a half, and I get that. There's like probably 8 people that would really watch a full hour and a half video, and I get that. So, you know, I'm going to make little segments that more people will want to watch, make TikToks, make Instagram videos. I'm doing it. It's happening.
That's really cool.
Soon.
I'm excited.
So I'll do all that. It's just like, you know, I imagine if we missed out on any piece of this conversation, you know? Like, how far in do you think we are, Andrew? If you were to guess.
Exact 42 minutes and 33 seconds.
We are 1 hour. We just hit an hour as I was looking at it. That's why I looked back, because it got to an hour. But
incredible.
Imagine if I made this 30 minutes. What if we missed out on that last 30 minutes, Andrew?
And then I feel pressured almost by like, okay, I want to talk about this, and that in 30 minutes.
No, like, none of that.
No stress.
No stress. We, like, you know, this could feasibly, last one I had went for 2 hours with Declan.
I noticed
longest
that.
one. It could go for another hour. And but like, I've never had to end one inorganically. Someone's on a time crunch, you know, like, obviously you don't want to be here forever. So, like, it just ends. Right. But it's never been like, oh, I got to go soon, so can we? And I've never been like, yo, I got to go soon, so can we? Never done that. It's not what it is. I'm just talking to somebody. It's more for me than it is for everybody else. I just want to be able to look back in like 6 years and be like, oh my God, I haven't talked to Andrew in like a while. Like, let me watch this and then let me hit him up, see how he's doing with everything, you know, like, see if this all still rings true. Like, was the happiness that you feel like you're finding right now, like, not that anything's permanent, but like, do you still like feel that way? Are you still as happy as you were 6 years ago?
I had not thought about that aspect of recording a podcast or videos or pictures, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. It's a time capsule.
That is unbelievable.
You know how happy I am that I have, and I had my dad as like the 9th episode, maybe 5th actually. You know how happy I am to have a full hour-long conversation with my dad, just record it. And my dad is like my hero. My dad's my hero, wow. So he's like the greatest guy in the world. So I like having an hour with my dad, like just all, like forever. I might do another one just so I can have more time with my dad. As well. Just because I love talking to him in general. And also, it's just like, you know, I save that. I save all his voicemails. I save all my mom's voicemails. I want my mom to do it, but she won't. She won't do the podcast. She's nervous. She's like, what am I going to talk about? I'm like, she's like a teenage girl sometimes. She's funny. But, you know, it's just a good time capsule of all these things and all these people. And you guys are all so interesting. So interesting. You can't even, can't even imagine. I didn't even know that getting into it. I just wanted to do it for fun. Didn't realize how smart everybody is, how interesting, and how everyone has their own full life and experience and everything. It's crazy, bro. It's absolutely crazy, bro.
Insane. That is amazing.
Is there anything you've ever thought about doing, like a podcast or anything like that?
Not doing myself, no. I do enjoy podcasts a lot. I enjoy listening to them. I've been wanting to be a guest on a podcast. That's why I was looking so forward to doing this.
So what's that? So I have never been a guest, technically, on a podcast.
Okay.
So, and I've had people say that to me, like that they're excited to be on a podcast.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, it's not very prestigious. They're like, that doesn't matter.
No, it's not about the prestige.
It's just like something about putting the headphones on and getting the mic in front of you. Like you just.
You want to know what it is?
Let me hear it.
People love to talk. It doesn't matter what it's about, especially after COVID. People love to talk
and be listened to too. You know?
Yes, like dude, I couldn't even tell you how our conversation started, but I can tell you how it's going, and it is going fucking amazing. And that's why I love conversation.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's
awesome. Would like. How often do you sit down and talk to someone for a straight hour? Like maybe at lunch, maybe like you're just hanging out with people, but like an actual like conversation like the one that we're having right now. How often do you have conversations like that? Well, I mean, the owner of this podcast, probably pretty frequently. However,
once a week for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say. However, for myself, let me tell you, not that often. So stuff like this. Memories like these, oh man, I'll cherish this forever. Like I'll always be able to look back and be like, dude, that day I did the DOD podcast. Man, that was fucking great.
That's really awesome. Interesting. I never really thought about that. Like you've really like this conversation. I thought of it. It's funny because I talked to Declan last week, and he was saying like, it's funny because this is like just a normal conversation. And I was like, yeah, it is. Now the way you're saying it isn't. And it sadly isn't, I feel like.
I would say that in the sense that we communicate, that's like a normal conversation.
That's
like we're talking friend to friend right here. Like it's not like, oh, I'm on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and I gotta put on like this big character and I gotta be smiling, talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about. It's a natural conversation. It's a good conversation. But in the sense of how frequent that these conversations happen, oh, dude, I could count on my hand. Maybe.
Like, that's crazy.
But you're right.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't
definitely
happen.
does not. Especially now.
You want to know why? You want to know why I think it is? I think it's because when you go do something, it's never, I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to conversate. I've never said that.
That's
aside from this podcast, I guess. Like, you're never, the goal of going and doing something is never a conversation. Really. Like, you can assume you're going to have small talk and conversation when you're out, you know. But usually, say all the conversations you have in a day, like say it's one with a classmate, it's in passing in the class, about the class, you know, sometimes you can get a little deeper, maybe, but that's if it goes longer than 4 minutes. Some conversations don't last that long, 4 minutes. And, you know, there's so many different small interactions throughout the day, all the time, but you never say, I'm going to go have a conversation right now. Yeah, and that's what this is. This is the only goal here is to talk.
This is the first time I've ever written down my to-do list. Have great conversation with DOD. First time ever.
First time ever that's been on the to-do list, bro.
Oh, dude.
And that's maybe that's part of the appeal of podcasts in general.
Bucket list item, dude. Check mark.
Conversation with DOD. Because we've talked many times.
Many times, yeah.
And then, you know, we've talked for probably a good amount of time. We probably had like good 10-minute 15-minute conversations before, maybe, you know, like in and out and like talking with other people sometimes. Yeah, but odds of us ever, without this podcast, ever having an hour-plus long conversation,
it doesn't happen.
It's never going to happen. And it doesn't happen in anybody's life. I can't think of a natural, or maybe like some late nights on Xbox when you're on the, but really that's not even a conversation because you're just playing a game.
Right. So, and you want to know why I think conversation has become such a lost art in society?
Why? Pull it up. I know what you're grabbing right now. Show it to the people.
It's because of this thing. And don't get me wrong. Probably could be the greatest invention of all time.
Oh my God, yeah.
Not just iPhones, but you know, smartphones themselves. Dude, it's a mini fucking computer in your pocket. That's pretty sick.
So sick.
It has many perks, many qualities.
Cameras, flashlight.
Unbelievable. You can access anything.
It's your memory.
Exactly.
You know?
But I think it also has disadvantages as well.
Some drawbacks.
Obviously, many that people just don't think about. And it's just become so natural in society to just forego those certain disadvantages for the sake of a mini computer in my pocket.
That's true. My mom, I was talking. You ever watch Sebastian Maniscalco? You know who that
Alexa
is?
and I love him. We went and saw him in concert this summer, and it was great.
So he's the balls. We love Sebastian Maniscalco. My family does too. And we wanted to go. We didn't end up going, but I wanted to take my dad to Denver and go at the Red Rocks.
Oh, Alexa told me about that.
I wanted to so bad. It just wouldn't have worked out, sadly, but you know, saved me a couple dollars. So. Probably better off.
That's how you got these nice mics.
Yeah, literally. Like that, the Denver fund would have cost mad. But whatever. You know, I would have done it for my dad, but it just wouldn't have worked out. I talked to him about it. But then we watched like his first special, and he said like, not his first, but the first one, the one that like blew him up a lot.
Right.
He talks about, you know, people used to come. You know, he talks like people used to come
exactly
to the door.
Where you're going. Yeah.
And they'd knock, and they'd be like, and then we got company. Yeah. He's like, open the door, welcome. You know, welcome in. Get the Sanka. Can you get the Sanka? Get the cake. No one touches the cake unless there's company. You know, and you know people would literally just knock. I'm in the neighborhood. Thought I'd stop by.
How are the kids?
Doing good? And you'd go up. You'd slide in the footy pajamas to the door, and you'd open. You'd be like, Mr. Whatever, right. Mr. Smith, how you doing? And then, you know, hey, your parents home, takes the fedora off, you know, walks in, they talk 2-3 hours at the table.
Like nothing.
And then when it was time to go, you'd be like, all right, thank you for coming by.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll go to you.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you remember how he says it? He's like, the sword under the. He's like, get the sword. Get the sword underneath, Grandma. Get underneath the bed. Like, we get the sword.
Crawl.
Yeah, crawl to the door if someone knocks at your door, you know? And I think that's just. You're right. It's kind of what we were saying earlier. The swing only can be as good as it is bad.
Right.
Phones are awesome.
Great.
They are. And they are, you literally maybe the greatest things ever.
An amazing invention.
And just as much as they are, they can be one of the worst things for us. Losing that conversation part of everything. You know, I remember when we're right at the edge of that time. Like, no one goes and knocks on doors anymore. I've knocked on a couple friends' doors, getting them to come out and play because we didn't always have phones. You know, I didn't have one until like 5th grade. Okay. Nowadays, you get like when you're really young.
Oh, dude, kids are using iPads and like iPhones. Dude, 5. Younger than that.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So, you know, I wasn't part of that. So I guess I didn't have my whole life. But I remember knocking on doors and being like, hey, want to come play basketball? Seeing some parents.
Oh, dude, getting some kids together with
Jake
football.
Home? Like, no, sorry. You know, that's why I'll come back later. He should be home around 1:30. Okay, I'll come back. Come back. Like, this is real stories that happened to me. And, you know, I feel like I did miss out on it, though, when you get older. Like, my dad said his whole street was all young kids. And they'd all just come outside and they just knew where to be. And you'd say, hey, next week, Friday, 5 o'clock, go to the whatever. Like there was like this yard outside of Somerville High School. My dad would be like, okay. And guess where they were at 5 p.m. the next week with no follow-up text, nothing. Yeah. Nowadays, you can cancel.
Last minute, yeah.
You couldn't cancel back then. If you canceled, you have to tell somebody.
Dude, imagine going up and telling somebody to their face, I can't do it. I'm not gonna make it today.
You wouldn't. And then you'd go and you would have fun.
Right.
You know? Or if your mom wanted you home. My dad said all the time, if your mom wanted you home, they didn't know where you were.
Just be home by dark.
Just be home by dark. And then if you weren't home by dark, they'd knock on the neighbor's door. And they'd be like, hi, have you seen my son? They'd be like, I think I saw him at the store with this kid. Yeah. Go talk to them. They live right around the corner, the yellow house. You can't miss it. Then they go to the yellow house on the corner, knock on the door. And then, my son answered the door. I was looking all over for you.
Now you know what? All it takes is click on Find My iPhone and they're down the street to the left. Let me go get them.
Crazy what you're getting rid of right there.
Technology, this probably isn't going to make much sense, is so disconnectedly connected because you are connected to everything. But as an adverse effect, you are so unbelievably disconnected.
I forget who I talked about this with, but this point I'm about to say, I can go to Africa right now, pull up a TikTok, and like some more like industrialized African, like a little more advanced with phones and all that.
Sure.
Some places are more desert, tribal, all that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like more like a city. Okay. And I can pull up a TikTok and be like, hey, have you seen this? To my translator. Translator tells me. He's like, and then my translator tells me, yeah, I've seen this. The fact that we can share something and both have seen it, me over here, someone else in Africa, that was never a thing. That never existed. Right. We're almost becoming like one big country at this point. We're all we're so tied. Unless you're not on the internet at all, like some Chinese countries and North Korea, But even think about the fact that Squid Games did so well. A South Korean made, produced, all South Korean cast. It's in Korean, and it's the most successful show of all time.
Yeah.
To start. And that was never a thing,
Right.
Not from like those, maybe like you could find like something like Italian because there's nothing immigrants here, but that was never a thing. You couldn't get a group of mainly white country to watch an Asian, like TV show. Right. Crazy.
And as great as that is, at what cost does it come? Because that incredible. Like if you were to blast to the past 30 years from now and tell people that, hey, in 2021, you're going to be able to do this. It'd be like, yo, what the fuck? No way.
Yeah.
But, hey, can you have a 20-minute long conversation with your neighbor? and they'd be like, "What the fuck's a neighbor?" Like, no way.
For real.
So what cost? It's almost like
I barely know my neighbors.
Exactly.
These people, like they knew their neighbors.
Yeah. My aunt's my neighbor, so I know her pretty well. But
yeah.
besides that, like my other neighbors.
In that case, I know some of my kids down the street too. But like I barely even right here. I've had one conversation for.
I was out there. Those
you were
guys
there.
were great.
That was
great guys.
That was probably on the handful that you were talking about.
Right.
That's one of the few conversations that I can say that I've had, other than the podcast.
Yeah.
Like in recent memory. With a random person,
and you're very, at least from my perspective, a very outgoing, very talkative guy. So that surprises me.
Yeah, and it just doesn't happen.
Takes two to tango, my friend.
Takes two to tango.
You can't be the only one having the conversation.
Yeah, so you need someone that is reciprocating your energy.
That is hard to find right now.
And I feel like that's definitely been like the thing I've recognized. A lot of times, I find myself I'm a very adaptive guy. Like, I bet if you watch the podcast with me and Mike, right? I'm a very different way than I am with you. Okay. And not because I'm one of these fake people. I'm not. I'm just a motherfucking chameleon. Like,
literally.
The person I'm talking to, for some reason, I can feel it in the way I talk.
The energy.
Even my cadences they match you. I don't know why. It's the way I always have been, though.
I think that's one of the most important characteristics, because if you can adapt, then anything in this external world, dude, you'll be able to thrive. Not even just survive, thrive.
I like that. That'd be nice. If I could just thrive.
I'm telling you, if you can adapt to your environment, your situation, dude, nothing's going to be able to overcome you, because you are going to be the ultimate controller of that reality.
It's how it feels sometimes. I feel like I'm with people that are different, that I'm not usually with, and it takes me a second to get my footing. And then all of a sudden I start talking like, a little bit more of their speed. I'll meet you, and not everyone's like willing to like, I love how everyone's different. Everyone who is who they are, but not everyone's willing to like talk to someone that's very different from them.
Right.
I am. Instantly I'm ready to talk to whoever. So I'll match you. I'll meet you. I'll come to your world. That's why I feel like a lot of people. I don't drink.
Right.
But when people drink and all that, a lot of people hate drunk people. They hate hanging out with them. They hate seeing them. They think they annoy them. For me, when everyone else is drunk, I'm basically with them. Like, really? I'll match you guys. Like, I'm with you. I'm ready. It takes me a little bit to get my footing. Once I'm in, if I hang in long enough, I adjust. I adapt. I am now basically one of you guys.
That is incredible.
It's hard,
actually really incredible, because I would identify myself as one of those people that definitely becomes aggravated by other drunk people. It's happened to me in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking about that, and you having that ability to adapt to somebody, even in a state such as being drunk, that's really incredible.
Yeah, it feels different, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, as we said, all things have good and bad aspects of it. Sometimes I've never had an identity crisis. Like, I know who I am.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know who I am morally. My morals never change, and my reactions never change. And I feel like, I can see someone that is like me getting lost sometimes and being like, because I willingly realize how different I am with different people. Like, I'm different with my parents, I'm different with my family. In some groups, I'm the funny guy. In some groups, I'm a little bit of like more of the smarter guy. Some groups, I'm the dumber guy. Like, there's different people, different aspects people can be, and I just slide in wherever there's a crevice, wherever I can fit myself into this group. I'll slide in. So, but you're more like, you are a way. Like, that's who you are, So for you, I can see, like, you being more aggravated with people that are drunk, You're not going to adapt to that. Like, not that you can't adapt. It's just like, I'm not going to waste my time, because that's not what I am. And you probably have a very good sense of self then, I can assume.
I like to think so.
So you know what you are. Whereas myself, it's like, I'm not confused, but it's like, when no one's around, when there is nothing to adapt to, when there is nothing, really, what am I? If there's no hole to fit in, then what would I be?
Interesting.
I'm everything. That's what, when I'm alone, I'm everything.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That is incredible. Wow. I've never met somebody with that perspective. I've met adaptable people that can adapt to their environment, like I was saying. But wow, that's very interesting to learn about a perspective like that. Very
I wonder
cool.
what other, because I know I don't really. Again, I said like I don't really have that crisis, but I can see someone easily having that problem and being, if you're like me, I can see someone easily having an issue like that. I've never had that issue, luckily, but like even I have like, and not felt that way, but because I want to make it sound like I'm like upset. Obviously, I'm so happy. Like I don't feel that way at all. But it's just like I can so see it because I can almost feel it.
Now, are you an extrovert? Because I feel like that's a very extroverted characteristic.
On the Myers-Briggs, I am.
Okay.
Here's the funny thing, though. The definition of extrovert versus introvert. Extrovert, they get their energy from other people. Yep. Introverts get their energy from themselves in their alone time. Mm-hmm. I find I often take nights off, and I say, in the way I phrase it, I'm like, I need a recharge.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm almost like both. Yeah. I can get my energy in both ways. I just need to keep it even. I need some alone time. I need my alone time, my socializing time equal. But they both give me the same happiness.
Yeah, it almost seems like interpersonally, like you yourself seem intrinsic, like you feed off energy from yourself. But personally, and when you become like a social, like when you're being social, talking to people, it almost seems like you develop extroverted characteristics.
That's probably why I never had that identity crisis, because I know when I am alone, I know I'm also still like a person. I still get energy, and I become a little more creative. I definitely think that when I'm alone, that's who I really am. I'm creative. Yeah. Because I like to write. I like to just I'm not even a good drawer. I like to draw. I'm not a good writer. I like to write. I'm not a good I'm not like a music savant. I love to listen to music, by myself with sometimes I like to intermingle some things. I'll throw on those disco lights when no one's home.
Really? Just have yourself a
party. Have you guys? You came home last week, and
that's right. Actually,
I'll have the lights on.
You were telling us about that.
I'll have multiple things. Sometimes I'll close my eyes, lay in my bed, and I'll play music, not trying to sleep. Just when this is my only focus, what's it like? If I have other things going on, if I have a lot going on, if I'm trying to do homework, if I'm not trying to do homework, like what's the difference? Does it change this album for me? Does it change the sound? Does it make it feel better if I'm doing something that I like versus something I don't like? I do a lot of that. Like, it's almost like experimenting with myself.
I love that. I love self-experimentation.
It's cool. Do you take a lot of alone time for yourself?
Yes and no, because no, in the sense of I don't mean to do it on purpose. I do enjoy being in my lonesome, and I just think it's because I enjoy being independent. I like doing my thing, and I feel like, this is the nicest way possible. Sometimes people just get in the fucking way, and sometimes I'm telling you, sometimes I'm just a man on the mission, and people just get in my way. And that sounds cruel and that sounds harsh, but I don't know, man. If you're not here to support me or benefit me, it's kind of like
you're in my way. You're a distraction.
You're a distraction. Just let me do my thing. Let me do my thing so I can enjoy you when I'm meant to enjoy you.
Yeah.
Mentally, I'm very rigid in the sense of if I have a goal, I like to get shit done, and once I'm done, I can do whatever. And I love to socialize, do all this different stuff, go out on weekends, hang out with people, sure. But I got to get my shit done first. Mm-hmm. And that's where I lack in the adaptive apartment because, if I'm scheduled to go to the gym, dude, and something happens, I'm like, fuck, what do I do? And sometimes I can be the, being able to strive for goals and being determined and stuff like that. Oh, it's the greatest asset.
Oh,
but sometimes it can absolutely stab me in the back, and it can be my biggest downfall.
Yeah. I wish I was that difficult. Because that's why I'm recently I'm having a lot of my closest friends from home. They're gonna start helping me with a lot of this stuff, nice. Making sure I get it all done. because I really, in the end, I can't rely on myself to motivate myself, because I guess the only issue I really have is self-motivation. I guess I'm better when I have someone relying on me. And I've been dummy consistent with this podcast.
You have.
I've had a video up every week.
Incredible.
And I've had 42 podcasts, like this is the 43rd, and then I've had 3 weeks where I didn't do a podcast, but I was editing something else. I did a different video and uploaded that instead. So I've had a video every single week. I did it for twice a week for a little bit.
Wow.
That was a lot.
That sounds like a lot.
That's when I had time during COVID a little bit, so that was a little easier. But, I feel like you being that rigid type, having a schedule, and being able to keep that schedule, as soon as you commit yourself, you are committed. It's hard to say which is better. Hard to say which is more valuable, because that's like, because in the end, I feel like your floor is success. You will not fail with that. It's just hard to reach like the highest levels of like, because you can't. It's just hard for you to experience everything because you're like, I'm going to do this. You know what I mean?
One of the downfalls, I will say, and it's a difficult realization to come to. It can be certainly very hard and demoralizing, and just something very difficult to come to terms with is that it will never be good enough. I view as everything that I'm striving for, it will never be good enough. And finding peace within that, reaching a point where it's like, okay, I may not be fully satisfied, but I'm happy with where I'm at. That is the hard part.
Yeah.
But, how we were just discussing happiness earlier, that is what provides fulfillment, and finding, like I was saying, peace and enjoyment in that is so crucial. Because me, with my mentality, like, my relationships will never be fully perfect. Like, physically working out, my body will never be perfect.
You're in great shape, by the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. My career, work, I'll never be 100% fully satisfied with it. That can be, like I was saying, really difficult to come to terms with.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do, that's where, at least for me, I start to build gratitude. Because that's when I start to look for the little things in everyday life that, like the small blessings, like being able to go to the gym, because there's so many people that can't go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to have a girlfriend, because so many people struggle to find a significant other.
Yeah.
Having a family that loves me, having friends that support me. There's so many other people that have it so much worse that, how could I be unhappy in the situation that I'm in?
So true, dude. It's like forget the guy's name, and it's a shame because he's so important. He's like this old. I think he was in like the army, and he's literally done like everything. He's climbed like 1,000,000 mountains. I forget this guy's name though. You'd love this dude. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast before.
David Goggins.
He said,
crazy motherfucker.
He said, once you turn, I have to do something, until I get to do it, everything changes.
Oh, I completely agree.
I don't have to record with you today.
Yeah.
I don't have to, like, watch the Celtics once in, like, 10 minutes. I don't have to do any of this. I get to.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege. It's a blessing. It's all just.
Absolutely.
And even the things that might feel like it's not, it is. Like, I promise you, like, I get to. Or even if you're looking in the past, like, it's not like, oh, I had to. I got to. I got to take all these classes. I got to go to high school. I got to do homework. I was able to do all these things because I'm just so fortunate to just be in the spot I'm in,
As soon as you think you got it bad, there's somebody out there who has it 10 times worse than you. Yeah. And that's what kind of just keeps my motor running, knowing that,
Me too.
I think I have it bad now, but it could be so much worse.
Yeah, and I don't.
Keep your head up, King.
And I've never liked to be. Keep your head up, King. I never like to be the guy, like, if someone's like, oh, I'm hungry right now, and then me be like, oh, well, there's children starving in Africa, so deal with it.
Right.
You don't want to be that guy either. So it's hard to really explain to somebody. At least you understand. I know you understand, because I try to say that to people, and I know it comes off as that way sometimes. I'm like, I wish that there was better words for it. I wish that the English vocabulary.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
but it's just like you know, if you're hungry, eat. You know, like it's just that's a completely different thing. You know, but people often think of it that way. They're like, well, just because someone that has it worse than me doesn't mean I can't be sad. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm not saying it changes the way you think. I'm just saying like knowing that gets you through it 10 times better.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You know, I think it's very essential that we experience and fulfill the emotions that we are feeling. If you're feeling sad, dude, feel sad to the highest
Throw
extent.
on some Frank Ocean. Sit in your room.
All right, don't get that sad.
Don't get sad.
Okay.
If you're listening to Frank Ocean by yourself in your room crying, you might be a little too sad.
Dude, a little Juice WRLD in your room. Let it out, dude.
It's so
Let
hard.
it out. But no. Fulfill your emotions to the highest extent. But always remember gratitude. And always remember that you don't have it too bad. And I don't mean to downplay people's experiences that way, but like we were saying, it could always be worse.
Yeah, it could. And once you realize that, especially, you know, the people we run into, once you realize that, your life gets just 10 times better. And it's hard to realize that without having the experience. Like, definitely wasn't fortunate enough to have it, but I had the experience of, I've seen the worst, so it's easier for me to comprehend that. I don't know if you've had experience or if it was just a realization you came to, but if it is just if you're able to realize that, that is beyond impressive, because I don't think I'd be able to realize it without having seen it. You know.
Yes, like how I was saying earlier, I spent a lot of time in my head over COVID, so being, dare I say, within yourself, which I think is very important, by the way. I think everybody needs to be in their brain and pick their own brain all the time, essentially, but definitely for deeply for a period of time. But no, I definitely had experiences that made me more appreciative of the light and the good in the world. And, you know, because there are certain things that happen in which could have gone worse, and my life could be drastically different today because of it. But you know, you go through those tough times, and sheesh, now today the sun shines a little brighter.
Yeah,
you know. So
I agree. And you know, Andrew, this has been nothing like I thought it would go like, because I come in here with no expectations, because then once you have an expectation, it subliminally leads it a certain way. It's kind of like what you were doing. You wanted a good structure of it, but you still like only just peeped a little bit just to know, like, basically like where you're sitting, like that stuff. But you know, there's no direction for it, because then that ruins it. But I've had just the greatest hour and a half.
Absolutely.
So I'm ready to have a fucking, like, I'm ready to go climb a mountain right now. This has been a motivational hour and a half. I've never had a podcast quite like this one, for sure.
Well, that's amazing to hear.
What do you have to say to the people, though? What do you have to say to people that are like, maybe a little down in the dumps, though? Like people that hear us, but they're like, listen, just ain't going that way right now. Like I don't understand. Let's like end cap as to what to do. What do you feel like is okay?
Well, ultimately, I think that is very individualized. I think ultimately only you can answer that question. Like how I was discussing with you, I think pick your brain a little bit, and you know it'll probably hurt, because that's the source of a lot of the pain right now. Is, you know, this guy up here. But I think you should listen to yourself. I think you should do some thinking. I think you should read a book, you know, self-help book, meditation book. I think you should expand your faith. And, you know, I think you should talk to your close ones, because ultimately those are your biggest supporters.
They are.
Those are the people that are always going to be there for you. And, you know, I think you should expand the faith within yourself. Trust yourself. Love yourself, because in the end, everything's going to be okay. The sun will shine brighter the next day, and, you know, it could always be a little worse.
Wow.
So
very, very, yeah.
Thank you.
Very well said, Andrew.
I appreciate
very well
you.
said. Did you enjoy yourself in this time we've had?
More than I ever could have imagined. I really appreciate you allowing me to come on this podcast. Similar to how you felt, I like I said earlier, had no idea how this was gonna go. I had no expectations, but this has surpassed anything that I could have thought would happen. I truly did not know how long this was going to last. It's crazy to think that it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that crazy?
Insane.
Mm-hmm.
I have had the best time. You know,
Andrew?
I appreciate deep conversations like this.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
And signing off, people. This was a good one. I hope you enjoyed. Nice salute. Boom. At ease, soldier. Very good job, man.